Good morning, everyone. It is the 10th of March. Can you believe that? Oh man. I don't know about you, but I had an amazing weekend. I went on vacation and it was just fabulous. Probably one of the best weekends of my life. And it really felt like spring sprung up into my life over about anybody else, but I even got bit by a single mosquito. Saying something, okay. Technically, the spring equinox in the northern hemisphere begins on the 20th, though, and that also starts fall for the other side, south. So, the first thing that I noticed when I got back into town and loaded up my program this morning was that the geomagnetic storm and the solar wind has really died down. We can see that right here in these green bars. Notice how in the last upload they were all up in the red and getting up into the fours for the geomagnetic storm of a couple of different CME. But mostly it was these large corona holes that we had on the sun. Some of them are still there. We can see that down here. So we still have some kind of blackish areas, particularly in the southern hemisphere of the sun, that is still screaming solar wind at us, escaping us. But just seems like nowhere near what it was last week. And if we look down in the other corner here where we've got the spiral graph, we don't see any big bulges coming out at us either. So one of the first things that I would like to do is get over to research. We can see kind of the differences in and just touch on the space. Really not a whole lot to cover today. So let's transition over. I will show you okay, so this this will work better. Not sure why the other mode isn't working, but that's okay. I'll fix it later. We're gonna look at space weather. Okay, so we can see here that even the preview for the next couple of days, it's really not supposed to be. It's really not supposed to be bad. We're not looking at any solar radiation radio blackout forecast for the next couple of days, so that's cool. Things are just pretty stable. It looks like it will be pretty stable. It looks like the forecast, we won't get into any kind of like real dense or fast anything until the 14th. We've got these color diagrams on the side of this image here. Tells us this one tells us the plasma density. This is the radial velocity. A different way of seeing the spiral graph that shows up on screen. So we'll hit play here and see that it's kind of in the yellow, which is down here, but we really don't even get in. White and black is the hottest kind of. Blue is just not very worrisome. Green isn't even very worrisome, and orange honestly isn't very worrisome. Anything above red, pink, white, or black, we get more excited about. But again, we'll let this play through and see that we're not even in the red kind of area here until about the 14th, the 13th into. Again, this is just a prediction. The Space Weather Prediction Center. So things can change by then. It just definitely, the sun could give us info. Right now, it looks pretty stable. So we're not going to spend a lot of time on that right. And look at real quickly what's up with the Earth. What it's doing. I haven't even looked. The biggest one that I'm seeing is 5.1. 5. At a couple of different movements here. Long by Japan. to Idaho, Nevada, and New Mexico. However, these don't seem as out of place. So that's what's going on with earthquakes. Not too many astronomy events point out other than and the new moon is going to be here. Oh, what we can we look forward to seeing in the sky? Earth, this is being from and let this play. So this was Sun, Moon, and Jupiter, and Saturn, and Mercury out. We need to let the day progress here. We will see the sun move up the sky. Mercury, Moon, Jupiter, and Saturn just really not too far away. Go down. West. Mars is now out into the sky here too. So it still just really, really near Pleiades. So if you can find Pleiades, then you'll be able to see Mars. If you've got a good of the stars this evening, you will also find it to the left of, or to the right of Betelgeuse, which is a red star that some of us can see with the eye. And we also have Rigel here. Sirius, I can always spot Sirius. Very, very bright, and it does flicker. So Uranus, I don't think you can, it's real near. We'll get a good view of Arcturus. Now this is my favorite way, astrology. So before we get into the astrologies, we'll go ahead and get into solar system. Programs aren't allowing screen capture correctly. I'm just gonna go straight to the free version, SolarSystem.com, like I'm at right now. I highly advise it. They're got the free downloads I usually use, and I obviously started using them a long time ago. But yeah, so anyone can use this solar cool way to see. Okay, so I've got this up, and we'll do a little bit of very, very obvious geocentric Earth, Mercury, Jupiter. Okay. Also have Earth, Sun, Neptune. Oh, excuse me. Earth, Sun, Venus. Looks like the moon is actually in this first conjunction as well. So we've got Earth, Moon, Mercury. Capricorn. And it does seem to be lining up pretty perfectly here. Yellow giant. Mass is about 2.5 times the sun. Is 20. So it looks like older sun. Most of them in the Capricorn area are, because again, if we go out far enough, we can see that that direction is actually pointing us closer to the galactic center. Sagittarius is pointing directly to the galactic. So anything in Capricorn is pointing. There's just a very, very dense amount, very, very old stars, old stars of our galaxy. And we've got newer out, very generally speaking, but back in. It's not going to show up any of our charts, but I will just note that Mars, Venus, off, so Jupiter and Saturn, which is kind of a weird geometry. Again, this isn't going to be speaking. Venus and Mars. Mars is always chasing Venus. So from this perspective, it seems like Mars has passed up Venus, but Venus is about to come around the corner and get very close to Mars, and Mars is excited about that. But as he looks back at, as we look back into ourselves or at ourselves, perhaps we take a look. When we do that, Mars is our action. Our soul is also looking back and seeing the decision that Venus has to make, all these forks in the road, so to say. That's kind of what I'm getting here, is just that a little ahead. And so if he does take a moment to look back, he's going to see Venus, then he's going to see the influence of these outer planets behind her. In the energy of Capricorn, this might push Mars forward greatly, almost like being chased by something that could be harmful. I think you might have a bear on your tail, or something larger than you coming up behind you. Unsettling. You might walk a little bit faster and eyes open a little wider as you're taking your steps forward. And I think that's our action of Mars that we're taking. And since I know that Mars is in the energy of Taurus now, Pleiades, energy of Taurus that he's in is very methodical, rhythmic almost, and just like it's not in a very in one of the gathering the things, and really the things is what it's about. So the environment might be a little bit unsettled, for a little bit uncomfortable, almost as if he is or isn't at home where he is. So if that's you, know that this will pass. Some of Pleiades' challenges has to do with suffering and sorrow. So if you are a person that's suffering, don't be afraid to ask for help. And if you are someone that is seeing others suffer, others who are suffering, so whichever it is for you, the kinds of roles that Mars action, our will, is in the energy for. So look at, which I will have to live stream here. In addition, some things are okay, set up a little bit better anyways. So again, with this chart, I use SideReel. So what we were looking at in this, we're going to be looking at not using tropical. So that's why it might look or sound different. Like, oh, no, they're not. Tropical is accurate astronomical measurements. So this is truly scientifically an accurate way to look at things. Don't let it throw you off. The inner circle is actually the sun-centered. Outer circle, Earth, or the Earth SideReel chart. So they are slightly different, but they are actually very close to the same a lot of the time, because Earth is one of the change the perspective horribly. But sometimes things do look a little bit different from the sun's or soul perspective, from the earthly life perspective. So, like I said, we've got this in Earth-centered, we've got this Earth, Mercury, Jupiter, Moon, Capricorn. This is interestingly enough, in the sun-centered chart, Jupiter is very open to with a sextile to Mercury. So this opportunity, Jupiter is almost like presenting an opportunity to Mercury to come speak to him. This is an opportunity for growth, but you would have to speak up for that to be possible. You have to enter the room with Jupiter to be able to have the conversation. If Jupiter sends out an invitation but Mercury never shows up, then this sextile it's just an opportunity that's not going to last very long. If there's something else going on in your day, then lose. So this conjunction between Jupiter, Mercury, Moon, it's not going to hit everybody. It's not going to be for everybody. It's going to be for those who actually hear the or opening with Jupiter, self-growth, for self-care, hearing the self, and this might be some kind of meeting of reward for those who are paying attention. We also have this Earth center chart, a conjunction Neptune, Sun, Earth. Technically, this is part of this conjunction at an Earth-centered chart, geocentric. Again, looking from a sun perspective, this is a little bit far away. It's not quite, they're almost 10, exactly 11 degrees away from each other. But they're both in the energy of Aquarius. And Aquarius is the water bearer, giver, the equalizer, if you will. Really wanting to, and does, see everyone there. And so right now, our heart center, how we're feeling is that we want everything to be fair. I don't know about anybody else, but my 3-year-old has picked up this, that's not fair. As soon as Venus entered into Aquarius, she started saying that more and more often. In a lot of ways, she's right. There's a lot in the world that seems unfair. So it's not an untruthful thing to say. But also, we're in an energy that wants to be fair, and in a world that's not, it just can be really hard for some, particularly if you're. So Neptune is often looked at as the veil or the subconscious, what's going on underneath this in the non-physical world and realm that we live in. It's kind of the in-between of our inner self, outer selves. This is a major difference between our sun sign and our rising sign. Sun sign is like who we are born within, what we carry in from the second we're born to the second we die. Aspect is complete within our sun sign, but our rising sign is more about, it begins to be more about how we present ourselves to the world. But by the time we actually mature and get over into like the later houses and get over into the real world fold after the 7th house later in life, about midlife time, we start to really become our rising sign, sometimes even more so than our sun sign. Like we evolved into our rising sign. And so as a teenager, when I started studying astrology, I did not agree with my rising sign at all. I was like, I don't get it. I don't feel Scorpio or Libra. Like, I don't, whatever. But now that I'm older, I would imagine that people that are just meeting me might guess that my rising sign is what it is now because I've matured into that. So Neptune can feel a little bit like that. It can feel a little bit like it doesn't feel like it's an Aquarius, but how would we even know if our subconscious is in Aquarius or not? We wouldn't consciously know the difference between conscious and subconscious. So just there's a lot going on in the world and of the world that has to do with Aquarian energy that's in going on in the non-physical. Just keeping that in mind. Now, coming back to the Earth-centered, we are coming up in a conjunction here with the Sun, Neptune. So we might have a little bit of an opening to see and to feel and to know what's going on in our own subconscious. A little bit of a opening up, if you will, an aha moment for some might occur, and while this conjunction is going on over the next couple of days, Venus is going to pass over this. So I would think that that might be the time in which you might get a glimpse of this means for you. So if you come into a more emotional, spiritual time and over the next days, realize that that might be a time that your subconscious is going to give you over some information, shed some light from the on that situation. And we also have a new moon coming up, right? We can see how that's a little sliver now. So new moon is a good time to just get away, get things accomplished and let things go. It's a great time to cord cutting, finish projects, throw things out, get rid of things, get things out to Goodwill, start getting all the winter crap just out. Start preparing for spring because it's here a little bit early. And I think it's going to be a good one. I think it's going to be warm. So just it's a good time to just get all the junk out, whether that be your it might even be a good that's kind of what I'm seeing for today. So I hope you guys enjoyed the episode and back so I'll daily basis. One, enjoy your day.